Welcome to the Halloween cupcakes tutorial. This was previously a Facebook Live, but I thought I'd edit it for you to see. So these are the cupcakes we're going to make, and here's what you will need for the tutorial. So the first thing we're going to make is the hat. Now this is super simple. I've used Renshaw pre-coloured black sugar paste. It's really easy to use. All you need to do is to knead it well, but you can also colour your own as well. Now inside the hat you can put something tasty like marzipan. Here I'm going to show you how to use rice cereal treats that I've made myself. So you can shape them up into the hat, and that's going to provide the shape for the cone, so it's not just a big lump of sugar paste. See, really easy. You can squish it into shape and then you can cut it to size. So that's one alternative. But what I'm actually going to use today, I'm going to use some of the Life in Sugar chocolate bar because it's absolutely delicious. Now the other things you could use is fudge as well. So I'm going to break it up into little pieces first and knead it together. You can also microwave it, but I'd rather keep it nice and firm so that it's going to hold the shape. It's going to taste really nice. So rather than just a big lump of sugar paste, they've got a nice lump of chocolate in the middle. How tasty is that? So we're going to need to cover this cupcake, aren't we? So I've got a circle cutter the same size as my cupcake. I've got some more of that black sugar paste. Now the reason there's no amount given, I'm rolling it out to 2 to 3 millimeters thick, and I only need to cut out enough for that circle cutter. So you really don't need a lot at all. I'm also going to pop some lovely lemon buttercream, but it's coloured green, especially for Halloween, right in the centre of that cupcake. And you can also spread it over a bit, but there's no need to go right to the edges. However, if you've got your cupcake case is peeling slightly, if you spread it right to the edge and pop it back in your baking tin, then it'll seize and it'll hold that shape for you. But you don't need to do that today. So I'm cutting out again a nice clean edge, but what I actually need to do to this circle is to make the middle bit a little bit thinner. So as you can see, I'm stretching that circle. Now the reason I haven't gone any bigger is because the next size circle cutter was way too big and I really didn't want it that big. So as you can see, you can stretch it out. You can see there why I don't go to the edge. So that bit I showed you how to stick the edges back on of your cupcake case, you can see why. But I'm smoothing it over with the soft part of my hand just to get it to the edge. So now we need to make the actual point of the hat. So I've got a cone of black sugar paste, which is another option, but I'm going to hollow it out with my thumbs. So as you can see, I'm just pushing open that hollow. Pop in your chosen filling. So I've gone for that lovely chocolate bar paste. Now it's actually a modelling chocolate, but it is so much chocolate in it, it's really delicious. But once you've got it stuck inside, roll it on your work surface for a beautifully smooth finish. And look, a little cake scissors is absolutely perfect for trimming that off. Just make sure it comes down to the bottom before you fix it on. And because it's modelling chocolate, it's not going to need any glue to stick it. So you watch now when this goes on, it's so much easier. So I'm not even going to add the glue as I mentioned. I've grabbed a couple of tools out ready, but look, can you see I can pick it up? Bend over the top of the hat, and what tool you saw me grab was that Dresden. I'm going to use the thin veining tool side just to pop a couple of little texture bits. Now we need to put that lovely belt and buckle on there. I'm going to colour the orange paste. So I'm using some Fractal colours orange here. You can also buy pre-coloured, but I want to show you how to colour your paste without getting messy hands. So you saw the dots in the middle. I shaped it into a pasty and now I'm rolling it into a sausage. So the orange there is roughly the colour that we're going to achieve. So once you've rolled it out to about a foot wide, roll it up into thirds and then roll it again. But can you see, this is also how you make marble paste. That's why I just rolled a bit flat to show you. So I'm just going to add a bit more because I want it to have a nice strong colour. But bear in mind, every packet of gel colours or paste colours, they all tell you how much of it you can use. So make sure you follow the manufacturer's instructions. But I've got nothing on my hands. Now I'm stopping ever so slightly paler because today I want to show you how to dust the pumpkin as well. But let's first do that strap to go around the hat. Now, if you need to roll a sausage of paste really smoothly, can you see a regular smoother will get that really nice and straight for you? Just rubbing back and forth. I've popped some cornflour on with my cornflour puff that I made myself, and I'm just going to press down just to make this band. Now this doesn't even need a knife. Can you see I'm just pressing it into place with the hard, sharp side of that smoother. So I'm adding some edible glue. Now you can use water as well, and make sure it's not stuck to the work surface, and I always trim off the start. It always makes a neater finish. This doesn't need to be perfect either, but the easiest way, trim off what you don't need and then run your finger along it so that it looks like it's blending into the hat. So I wanted it a bit chunkier than a super thin piece of paste. I think it just looks a bit more fun. Now to make the buckle, I've got 2 pieces of paste, one black and one the same orange. I'm going to cut the inside of the buckle out of orange. I'm going to lay that onto the black paste in the middle, and then I'm going to trim it just by leaving a little bit of trim around the outside. Super fast way of creating a belt buckle, and then you just put a bit of glue and fix it in place. Really easy way to make a witch's hat. So now we're going to move on to the pumpkin. Let's put some buttercream back in the middle. Now you can also put jam. You can put whatever you fancy in the middle of there, but I'm making sure I cover more of the top of it just to give it something to stick to, but there's no need to cover the sides as well if you've just coloured your paste like I have. If your paste feels a little bit drier, I would definitely buttercream out the outside. But you can see this is going to be a whole cake. So no cupcake cases here, we're just going to cover them all up. You can see how easy it is to just curve over the top and then bunch it all up at the bottom. Now you can still see the shape of the cupcake, look. But then you can use your scissors to trim off this excess. So this means that this cupcake is completely sealed inside, so it'll stay fresh. Now I'm going to put a dent in the top. You could also use your rolling pin to make the dent. You could use a ball tool, but soften away any marks. And let's get some texture onto this pumpkin. Now there's 2 options. You can use a nice smooth paintbrush handle, or you can use your Dresden tool. But when you use the Dresden, it would need to be the narrow side. So let's show the paintbrush handle option first. Can you see I roll over and then I go from the top and back down. You can go over it as many times as you need to if you weren't happy with the finish that you got the first time round. And you can go as deep as you want to, and don't worry if you get a slight hole in the middle. When you're using the Dresden, try to only use the white bit, because the yellow bit has got ridges. So only use the white bit of your Dresden. So it's up to you which bit you find easiest. I love using a paintbrush handle. I just find it easier and so quick. It's a great way to make a pumpkin, isn't it? You can also add texture. Wrinkle up a little bit of foil, tin foil, aluminium foil, and then just gently press it on. Just adds to the effect, but we're making a semi-cute one. Now that Life in Sugar chocolate bar was too tasty not to use on this one, so I've kneaded it back up as before, and I'm just going to pinch a stalk for the top. So make a little cone to sit in that hole. Pinch some really scruffy edges. Can you see the scruffy edges at the bottom? And you're going to stab the top with the veining end of your Dresden. I use the other end as well. Loads of texture. And then you're going to use the thin end just to create those lines up the stalk. But when you've been all the way around, give that stalk a little bit of a twist, just for a bit of character. So the cat. Now, how cute is that? The best thing to do is to start with the lightest colour. So we're going to start with the white for the nose, which is a super tiny piece of paste. Roll it to a little oval or a tic-tac. But let's talk about sizes for the eyes. Now, there's no CMC in this paste. It's literally just sugar paste. Oh, ears first. Beg your pardon. So I've just cut a little 1 centimetre long cone for the ears. Can you see there's a little bit of white on the inside? Let's talk about sizes now. So this is the Nicholas Lodge size guide. So watch how this works. You've got to have 1/3 of the ball goes through the guide and 2/3 has got to sit on top, and then you know it's a number 9. So that is the size I'm going to use for the eyes. Flatten them down. We don't want them completely flat, that's why I didn't roll out and cut. Now you can either choose to use a food colouring pen. I'm going to be making indentations and I'm going to drop a bit of black paste into there. That's a number 2, just so you can see. So cut this little tiny number 2 piece in half, roll it into a sort of elongated pointy shape and just drop it in. And can you see I didn't need any glue because black paste is really tacky, isn't it? The ears are made from 2 centimetre cones and I'm using the wide end of the Dresden to make a hollow. I'm then putting the white pieces in, flatten them into place, and then you just need to give the ear a bit of a shape. You can then trim it back down to 2 centimetres long because that's roughly the size you want it, but you could have big ears, short ears, long ears, wide ears, totally up to you. Now, dusting always makes it look great. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a flat brush and I'm using some Fractal Colours Lemon Yellow. And I'm not going over the entire eye because I want a little bit of variety in the colour as well. So I'm just doing the sides and always brush from the outside in. Then I'm using a bit of orange, but only on one side of each eye. It really warms them up, doesn't it? Now you could do yellow and green instead. And I use a photographer's lens cleaner to blow off all the dust. So if you want to do the dusting on the pumpkin, start with the yellow. The yellow just brightens up your piece. So even though it's all orange, that little bit of yellow just adds the highlights. Then I'm going to move on to the same orange. So this is why I changed brushes, was to keep that one brush nice and clean with the yellow. But now I can stick with the same brush. So I'm going to use this orange first. And I'm going all the way around, and it's just a random amount of colour. It doesn't have to be completely smooth. Leave gaps because then lovely colours will appear through. So you can also move on to the terracotta. And now you can see me using the squirrel brown, but you could mix your colours yourself as well. So you could add a little bit of brown into your orange, and of course you can mix red and yellow together to get your orange as well. But I think that squirrel brown in the gaps makes it look so much cooler. Right, back to this cat. So I've put it into a smooth piping bag. I'm just going to put a decent amount of piping on the top, and it's now in the freezer. So while I'm doing this shaping section, now you can use the purple cupcakes domes and you can cut out some paste, use a circle cutter and lay it over the dome until it's dry. But I wanted to show you how to create your own dome if you didn't have any of those. So I've hollowed out the center. I'm making sure it's nice and smooth on the top, making sure it's nice and cupped and the sides go in. And you see that circle cutter, I'm going to use that to cut the sides away to make sure that it's the right side I need. And then on the inside we'll have a quick look, make sure those edges are nice and neat. And what you can do is grab your cupcake back out of the freezer, neaten up the shape, because look, you can push it into shape now, and hey presto, that just goes over the top. So how tasty is that cupcake going to be when somebody wants to eat it? Instead of just sugar paste, you've now got all that lovely buttercream as well. And you can obviously carry on neatening it up. I've now used a pretty decent size large ball tool. And these are going to be the same size as those eyes. So remember, it was the 9 centimetre circle, which flattened ever so slightly, which made it slightly bigger. But do put a little bit of glue inside that hollow first, because you don't want those eyes to fall out, do you? Make sure your hands are clean as well. Good tip there. So it'd be great if you could go and click like and click subscribe and share it to all your friends. So let's pop some edible glue onto the ears, and can you see I'm also putting a bit of yellow dust on there as well? I just think that looks really nice and matches the eyes up. There we go. And the last thing we need to do to that little cat is the nose. It's looking cute already. Doesn't need much, does it? Look how adorable that is. So there you go. you can see my cupcakes. I hope you like them. But as I said, please click like and subscribe because we'd love to see you back, and happy caking.